Hello and welcome to the second part of my four-part series where I covered the off-season to-do list for the four major regions as far as the teams that didn't make the playoffs are concerned. Obviously, the LCK whole season spring split's done. T1 won the split, and the other five teams I will be covering in another video, probably post MSI. Going in, filler videos. This is almost like a filler video because we have 4 days here where there are no games being played for my League of Legends roundup. And I think we should actually look at the four non-playoff teams in the LCK because yesterday's video with the LPL is a little more complicated because there are no challenger or academy stats to go off of because the LDL stats weren't available. So with the LCK, I have stats available. I can identify, do they have somebody in the pipeline that can come up and play in summer to maybe improve these four teams. And I think these four teams are in a better position than arguably most of those LPL teams going into summer, at least within their own organizations as far as that's concerned. So if you want to watch the LPL video, you can. I took the rosters, I looked at them, I looked at the substitutes, I looked at the challenger rosters, and tried to figure out how these teams could improve. And honestly, I was going through the four before I went to just set up this video after I finished the board, and I was like, in trouble, okay, really in trouble, in a really good spot. Like, that's kind of how I feel about these four teams kind of getting into this. HLE stunk. They were awful. 3-15. And not only did they stink, but, they stunk in Challenger too. And that's not good. They have a young team in places. I really think Karis and Samdi are two players that you can build this team around. But I think, Onfleek being the veteran that he is, he was okay at times, but other times he was not. He was not making things happen for them. And honestly, given that they used Sionbi, I don't know how to pronounce it, Sionbi and Willer, they used two different substitutes for Onfleek during this split. Honest to God, I think they should probably let Onfleek go and then go with these two, go with the six-man roster. I'm not an advocate for six-man rosters by any means. But I think given where they are in the standings, this is what they should do, is swap out the jungle role and figure out what jungler you want to use come 2023. I don't think 2022 is in the cards for HLE at all. I don't think that they have potential in Challenger to come up in summer to make them a top 6 team. And honestly, when I look at the LCK, I think there is room. I mean, Kwangdong is not that good. I don't think Kwangdong is very good at all. I don't think Fred Brion is really that good at all. So as far as the LCK is concerned compared to the LPL, there is room for these teams to make the playoffs. And I don't think HLE is one of them. I really don't. Doo-doo is doo-doo. I mean, there are some games he did really well on, but when I think about them off the top of my head, they're Tryndamere games. Tryndamere games, anybody can play Tryndamere in top lane. So he was not good. I think he was ranked last in some categories. And while they're last place team, last place. Onfleek wasn't even last place in some places. Samdi farmed like a madman at times, and that's why, honestly, I think he should still be on the team. I think he has potential. But in the problem is I don't have an asterisk next to Doo-doo because in Challenger, I don't think that they have an option that can take the place of Doo-doo. I think Meaning might be theirs. Honestly, it's escaped me who their top laner is in Challenger, but I do not. After looking at the stats, I did not think that he was good enough to make it to the LCK yet. So honestly, HLE are in trouble. I don't think they're in a lot of trouble. They have a young team, so at least you have something to go off of going into summer and be like, oh, well, this is a development roster. We're only looking to improve. There's only one way when you're in 10th place to go, and that's up. So that's good. Sandbox, young team as well. I think Krakow is solid. I think Closer is solid, even though they brought 10-10 in at times this split. Closer is definitely better than 10-10. 10-10 stunk in Challenger. I don't want him up. They don't really have a support option. I think they're young anyways. Cal is young. He has potential. Want to see what he does, especially when they figure out who the heck they want to play at AD carry between Envy and Ice. They're both closely matched. Ice being the better of the two, but they're both close. So, which way do you go? I don't know. I really don't know. I think they do need to identify who to replace Dove with. I don't think Dove is getting it in top lane after going from mid to top. I think they need to look elsewhere. They didn't really have an option in Challenger that I thought could play there. I think King Kong might be on their team. Maybe he's the bot laner. I don't really follow Challenger very much. I just looked at it now to see what these teams had, and I'm mixing up names, but Dove, I don't really think they had an option in Challenger to replace him with, but I think that's where they need to improve is in top lane. And similar to HLE, I think that they just have to grow. They have to grow. They have to get better. I think that Closer has a ton of potential in mid, just like Karis does. Those are two mid laners with a ton of potential, but they also could flop. Closer especially, between the two of them. But Sandbox is a team that I've liked. I've said all split long. I like them. I think that it's a team that you should watch out for. And sometimes they played well, and sometimes they played downright awful. More often, downright awful than well. But I think Dove is where they have to improve, and they have to find an AD carry. They have to decide. Or they run a 6-man. And like I said, I'm not an advocate for 6-man, and I just mentioned it for these two teams. But when you're at the bottom of the standings and you have a bunch of young players, sure, you want to get 5 players to determine what you want. Like, are these 5 players going to go, do well? But maybe in scrims during the offseason, you need to find out who you want to be your AD carry. You have to decide. If you're Sandbox, because they're a young team, you need to develop chemistry. Now, really in trouble is Red Force. Red Force is in a lot of trouble. You do not have the advantage of saying you're a young team. BDD and Ghost were non-existent this split. Non-existent. Ghost was a ghost most of the split, and BDD was not very good. So, they have problems. I think the top side's okay. I think Kana's okay. Dread was their best player all split long. And BDD, honestly, Fiesta is not good enough, I don't think, to come up yet and play. So maybe you stick with BDD. I really don't want to. I think he's maybe past his prime here, which is unfortunate to say. BDD is one of the best mid laners that we've seen over the last while here in the LCK, but he did not do very well this past split. As far as Ghost is concerned, I think Ghost struggled. I think Vital looks really good in Challenger. His numbers look solid. In his moments with the big club, he kind of struggled. But I think that he has potential to... I think he should be given a shot. Honestly, I think I do. I think they should look at moving Ghost. I think somebody might take Ghost. Maybe Fred at Breon takes Ghost. But Fred at Breon... not Fred Breon. Red Force needs to look elsewhere in that position. And I think Effort is a lot better than Peter. Peter is a lot better than Effort. Oh, no. What were my asterisks? I think Peter was a lot better than Effort, and that's why Peter doesn't have the asterisks. They have to stick with Peter over Effort. And if the stats say opposite, that's because they completely escaped me just now. And honestly, that's how it should be. They have to decide. They have to decide on a support. And I think that support has to help Vital throughout the summer split. Because the difference between these guys and why they're in trouble and these two are not is because they don't have... There's no development with this roster. This roster is what it is on paper. And it stunk. And it shouldn't have stunk. On paper, it's better than that. But it's not good. And you have... And I honestly, looking at the roster... I don't see improvement. I don't see players destined to improve. Maybe the support improves, but really, I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Red Force needs help. A lot of help. I think they're in trouble. Now, KT, I think KT's a playoff team in summer. I think they're in good shape. I think they figured out at the end of the split, Vikla is the mid laner they should go with. Arya, you didn't cut it. You didn't cut it. Simple as that. He didn't cut it. And Vikla looked good in his opportunities. He looked good in challengers. Vikla should be your AD carry. I mean, not your AD carry, your mid laner. And I think Rebel should be called up and play over Life. I think Life struggled at times, and Rebel was one of the better supports in Challenger. I think they should give Rebel a look. But if they don't want to, I think even without Rebel and just with Vikla, they're a playoff team this split. Because Rascal, we know what Rascal is. Rascal is arguably the best top laner in the LCK. So he should, the top side's fine between Rascal and Cuz. Aiming is a fantastic bot laner, one of the better bot laners, top half probably in the region. So if you just go with Vikla over Arya, I think they have potential to easily make playoffs. I think they're better than KDF, and I think they're better than Fred at Breon. I think they're better than DRX in that situation. I think KT is a fourth place. Like, I'll split long. We went fourth through eighth was like, who is it? It's changing every week. It's changing every week in the power rankings. Somebody's doing good, somebody's doing bad, and it's just like it was a rotation, it was like musical chairs. Whoever wanted to be in fourth place, and KT ended up on the outside looking in at the end. And I think KT is the team that could be fourth place in summer, at maximum, but at minimum, I think they are a team that should make the playoffs. So. That's it for my LCK off-season to-do list for at least KT, Red Force, Sandbox, and Hanwha Life. If you have any comments, comment down below. If you have any opinions on these four teams, how they look, maybe if you watch some Challenger games, what do you think about the Challenger players? Comment. I mean, obviously I already said comment, but like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Catch the LPL video from yesterday. My LEC one will come out tomorrow, where I cover the teams that didn't make the LEC playoffs, and the LCS one will come out on Thursday for the teams that didn't make the playoffs there. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you come back for more content.